The following podcast is a presentation of This Is Infamous. Listener discretion is advised.
What's going on, ladies and gents? Brand new episode of Intelligent Wrestling Conversation coming at you. So my thanks to you for tuning in, for listening, for downloading to get you here to this very moment. I'm your host, as always, Billy Donnelly. Plenty to talk about this week on the show. But before we get started, just one quick note. I don't know exactly how you got here, but just make sure you subscribe, you rate, and you comment on this podcast wherever it is that you have found it. So iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Blueberry, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast from. We're there, whatever's most convenient for you. All we ask is that you subscribe, you rate, and you comment. Take those couple of moments to do those things for me, and I will greatly appreciate it. Loaded episode this week. When is it not? Look, my main man, Tom Nix, our resident expert-in-chief, will be joining us later on in the show. Going to be talking about some New Japan Pro Wrestling in a little bit. I want to talk about the Mae Young Classic, which I had the honor and privilege of attending live up in Orlando at Full Sail Live. So I want to get into some spoiler-free details and impressions on that. What else? Oh, I also want to talk about Kurt Angle's big reveal on Monday Night Raw and sort of what that means. But where I start this show, I just want to take a couple moments and send some well wishes out to the McMahon family, in particular Shane McMahon. For anybody who is sort of not in the know of what happened earlier today being when I'm recording this particular podcast, Shane McMahon was involved in an emergency helicopter landing in the Atlantic Ocean. As far as we know, he is safe, he is sound, he is okay. But a scary thing, no less. So a helicopter goes down, people are put in jeopardy, lives are on the line. By all accounts, the pilot did an amazing job of getting this thing down in the water to minimize injury, to minimize damage, and everyone walked away okay. So, look, I just want to send my wishes. Shane McMahon has always been sort of a stand-up dude in the world of professional wrestling. So, physically, I know he's okay. It's the emotionally and the mentally part. That's the stuff that you got to deal with later. So, hopefully, Shane McMahon walks away from this as good as ever, and so I want to send just my well wishes, and I hope you do as well, for a speedy recovery of all facets of his life, walking away from this thing. Okay, so I want to talk about the Mae Young Classic because it's a really big deal. This is the first ever all-women's tournament that the WWE has put on. So in this fashion, I know that they've done different things with the title along the way, but they've never done anything like this to just showcase women wrestlers, female in-ring talent, which right now is getting all sorts of love, all sorts of support, all sorts of encouragement around the world of professional wrestling. Now look, a lot of this sort of goes to the four horsewomen in NXT and what they were able to sort of push through and beyond as far as the diva era of the WWE. And a lot of credit, look, I don't want to minimize the contributions of women who came before them. People like Trish Stratus, people like Lita, Molly Holly, Victoria, Mickie James, the fabulous Moolah, Wendy Richter, sensational Sherry. The list goes on and on of talented women wrestlers over the years who never quite got their due, who were always sort of seen as an afterthought or seen as just something in the background, typically eye candy. They were able to do some wrestling, but it was never on this level where they are treated respectfully or they are treated as an integral part of the show. So women's wrestling right now is sort of at its peak. And a lot of that credit should go towards Ronda Rousey in the UFC, who proved that women fighters can be bankable, that people would pay to come out and watch them not just be beautiful, not just watch them be pleasing to the eye, but also watch them be athletic, also watch them mix it up in the ring. And that's what we're really seeing now. We're seeing women get the opportunity to not just look good, but to do what they can on an athletic basis to draw you in emotionally to a wrestling match. So I went to last year to Full Sail during the summer, and I attended the Cruiserweight Classic, which I was excited about. And this is sort of along those lines. So they took 32 women. Some are a little bit more known than others, but a lot are fresh faces to the mainstream audiences that might watch this who don't really know about a lot of this talent. So for every person like Mia Yim or Candice LeRae or even a Toni Storm, there is a Piper Niven. There is somebody else on the scene that they're not familiar with. So yes, you'll have your Rachel Ellerings, and you'll have your Tessa Blanchards, and you'll have your Santana Garretts, and then you have someone like Jazzy Gabbert, who just sort of bursts onto the scene and makes you take notice of them. So look, I don't want to get into spoilers of the tournament. Being at Full Sail for 2 nights, we saw everything leading up to the finals. So we saw the first round, we saw the second round, we saw the quarterfinals, we saw the semifinals. We saw everything that will lead up to the last 2 competitors in this 32-woman tournament. But I at least wanted to offer up my impressions of what it was like to be in Full Sail for this event. I encourage you to watch this on a weekly basis once it airs on the WWE Network. I'll be very curious to see what Jim Ross and Lita bring on play-by-play and commentary to sort of bring this whole thing to life. I'll be very interested to see Alundra Blaze doing backstage to sort of bring some depth to the packaging. And I'll be very curious to see sort of the individual talent packages that are put together in between matches to sort of get you to know who these women are and get you emotionally invested in what they bring to the table. But I at least wanted to talk about what it was like to be in this arena for the 2 nights of this event. And I gotta tell you, look, I've been to tons of wrestling events over the years. I've been to Royal Rumbles, I've been to WrestleManias, I've been to NXT takeovers, I've been in the ECW arena, I've been to tons of wrestling shows over the years, real high profile stuff. And I would have to say that my experience with the Mae Young Classic is on par with any of those top-notch events. And a lot of it comes down to the sheer emotion of the night, the love that was in the room for these women who were getting an opportunity and a chance that no one else had really put together for them before. And now look, I don't want to diminish any of the contributions of Shimmer and Shine along the way, which really gave a platform to women's wrestling for women to stand out with their own promotion. So don't take this as a knock on those. Those were important steps along the way to get to where we're at. But there has never been a wrestling event for women on this scale by a company of this largeness that would put so much attention on women's wrestling before. That's never happened before. So something of this magnitude, this is uncharted waters for women's wrestling. So to be in the room and see that much love just showered upon this presentation of women's wrestling was really breathtaking. So if you watch the live stream on, I think, WWE.com, or it might have been on the WWE Facebook page. I know they had it on social media. They did sort of a parade of the competitors where you were able to see all 32 women that would be participating in the event. They brought them into the ring. They announced them one at a time. You got to see who they were. And then they were collecting on the ramp for sort of one group image to sort of show everyone, all 32 as a whole. And as they brought out each one, you could tell in that room just how pumped up and excited these women were to be a part of this event. Goosebumps is an understatement, and you could just feel and even physically see how amped up they were for the reaction that they got when they all came out. And one at a time, as they were all applauded, as they all received an ovation, as they all got a reaction, they were touched by how much respect they were getting. They weren't just seen as sort of TNA. They weren't seen as eye candy. They were seen as women's wrestlers, and that meant a great deal to them. And so as they came through one at a time and collected on the ramp, when they were finally all on the ramp together, a sold-out crowd at Full Sail Live gave them a deafening chant of women's wrestling. And you could see, I mean, I was right by the ramp on night one. So I was probably no more than 6 or 8 feet from Bianca Belair, who was right there. But you could see how much this night meant to them. There were women talent who were crying. They were trying to hold back, but they were just overcome with emotion that this was happening, and people wanted to see them do their very best in the ring. There were female fans in attendance who were crying, just once again sort of overcome with emotion at what this means. The fact that a women's wrestling tournament put on by the WWE to air on the WWE network was happening is a humongous deal. And for anyone who ever tries to undercut or undermine or undersell just how much representation matters for those who are underrepresented, I mean, this was astounding, because this showed, for all we ever talk about, to kids who are coming up, that they could sort of be whatever it is that they want to be. I mean, let's face it, the scales are uneven. You know, as a guy, and as a white male too, to be more specific, you have to be completely tone deaf and willfully blind to see the world in a way where all sides are even for everyone. It's just not the case. And especially when you come to gender, it is definitely not the case that men and women share the same opportunities. And this was an event that shows that while we still have ways to go, progress is being made. And when we do take steps like this, it matters a great deal to those who have been on the downside, the lesser side of receiving opportunity. So, look, you're going to get to watch weeks of incredible matches. This was better than the Cruiserweight Classic. The Cruiserweight Classic, particularly in the first round, they just did not have 32 top cruiserweights to make it go. And so you had some uneven matches along the way, particularly in the first round. When it comes to this, when it comes to the Mae Young Classic, if at all, you might have 5 or 6 who are just not as good as the rest. But that means you have 25 or 26 women who are top-notch. You have matches where even the talent that is on the losing end is still unbelievably stellar. And you're going to see an influx of talent, I think, come into the WWE machine, come into NXT developmental from these 32 women. You're going to see a wealth of talent now, I think, help rebuild the women's division, particularly down in NXT. And then in a couple years, see an incredible amount of depth move up, get called up into Raw and SmackDown to really, once again, help build the women's division even stronger than it is right now. You're going to get a lot of quality matches. You're going to get a lot of talent. And just watching those 2 nights of wrestling, a lot of matches, a lot of women in the ring, you are going to see women's wrestling taken seriously. You're going to see women's wrestling at its best. You're going to see some incredible matchups. You're going to see some great talent that should be featured more and more on a large stage such as this. I am incredibly proud of all 32 women that participated in this. As it moves closer to air, I believe at the end of August, we'll be talking more about the rounds as they go. But you have a hell of an event to anticipate and to look forward to. And I hope that something like this becomes a regular deal with the WWE, and I hope it's just another step forward for women in the world of professional wrestling to do what they are doing so incredibly right now, sometimes even better than the men. And this was a huge step forward for women's wrestling, and I was very proud to be a part of it, and I'm so glad that it happened. And I look forward to all of you enjoying it as well. You got a hell of a show, a hell of some shows on tap in the weeks ahead once the Mae Young Classic comes to the WWE Network. With that said, I want to shift gears just a tiny bit. I want to talk about Kurt Angle's reveal on Monday Night Raw. And then we'll bring Tom Nixon to talk some New Japan, which I know you guys are itching to hear about as we get to the homework. But over the past few weeks, Kurt Angle and the Monday Night Raw team has been teasing some sort of big reveal dealing with Kurt Angle and his personal life, I guess. And there's been plenty of speculation about what it could possibly be. I know Dixie Carter's name had been floated around the rumor mill, particularly because she showed up in that WWE 24 program concerning Kurt Angle's return to the WWE family and sort of the path that was taken over the years in order for him to get here this past year. But that wasn't what really came to pass. What came to pass was Kurt Angle revealed that Jason Jordan of American Alpha is his son. That at one point in time, he had a fling, and Jason Jordan is his illegitimate son of sorts from that fling. Now, this happens, and everyone sort of face palms and eye rolls over it happening, myself included, for a number of reasons. Look, I understand that the WWE is quote-unquote the entertainment company when it comes to this. Sports entertainment, storylines, drama, the whole nine. But it is moments like this that I think really speak to where the WWE has gone wrong over the years in their failure to adapt to what audiences like, what audiences want, and what audiences watch at this point in time. Now, on one level, okay, let me talk about Jason Jordan and why I think this is not necessarily good for him. Jason Jordan had a real difficult time connecting down in NXT on a singular level. Tried for a great deal of time to be a singles competitor down in NXT. And it just did not happen for him. Now look, Jason Jordan is a workhorse. Jason Jordan has a great work ethic. Jason Jordan never gave up. Jason Jordan kept on fighting to figure out who Jason Jordan was. And what Jason Jordan wound up being best at was one half of an incredible tag team with Chad Gable as American Alpha. That is where Jason Jordan really hit his stride. Now, American Alpha was called up to the main roster with a great deal of fanfare and has not received the support that they once did down in developmental. They just have not. They did not get the encouragement. They did not get the push. They did not get the support. They did not get the backing to be seen as a legitimate tag team contender in the SmackDown Tag Team Championship scene. Are they as bad as the Ascension were treated? Not by a long shot. But it hasn't been good for them. American Alpha has disappeared for weeks at a time without anybody caring. And the reason for that is when American Alpha was called up, there was just not a lot of effort put forth to teach the WWE audience who American Alpha is and why American Alpha mattered. Let's not forget, down in NXT, it took weeks and weeks and weeks of backstage segments and vignettes for people to care about Chad Gable. And then once he was paired with Jason Jordan, for people to care about them. And a lot of what they did was that their wrestling spoke for them. And they put on tremendous matches. They had good chemistry with other tremendous tag teams that helped put them on the map. And that's what helped get American Alpha to the main roster. And as we've seen time and time again, with so many talents that come from NXT up to the main roster, they are tweaked away from what worked and what brought them to the dance to become something that is less successful than if they just gave them their shot as who they were. Now, look, if you called up American Alpha as they were, you gave them some backing, and then it didn't work, and you want to try and tweak them then I understand. You say, well, this isn't working. We're trying to be patient with it. We're trying to see this through. But maybe we need to tinker and toy with this a little bit to get it better. I'm all for that. I understand. But they go out and try to fix that which ain't broke and thereby actually create a bigger problem for teams, for talent, for wrestlers. So I don't know how, once again, separating Jason Jordan from the one thing that actually helped get Jason Jordan over again is beneficial for Jason Jordan. Does Jason Jordan get the Kurt Angle rub? Sure. I'm sure that will be very helpful. But Jason Jordan, as nice of a guy as he is, and as tremendous of a worker as he is, and as a powerhouse in the ring as he is, especially as sort of the hot tag of American Alpha, was really elevated by the personality and sometimes goofiness of Chad Gable. Those two guys working together reminded me very much of the Steiner brothers. And I can only imagine Vince McMahon in particular looking at Jason Jordan and saying, oh, that guy looks like a star. He's got a great look to him. And that's what they're basing so much on. There are pieces to Jason Jordan that are missing. I don't necessarily know that Kurt Angle is going to be the one to bring them out without overshadowing him. And I don't necessarily know how this helps A, Jason Jordan, or B, Chad Gable. We all know that the WWE is always quick to split tag teams. They're very quick to get out of the tag team picture and separate these guys and have them go their own way. But that doesn't always help the long-term game plan of the WWE. Tag team wrestling serves a role. American Alpha was a real key cog in that. And I wish they were given much more time to, and much more support to be the team that was absolutely stellar down in NXT. Now, with that portion of the equation put aside, the other thing that I find problematic with the Kurt Angle reveal of Jason Jordan being his son is that no one believes it. No one buys into it. No one is on board with it. The suspension of disbelief for this storyline, this arc, this angle to carry out is a tough sell, because at this point in time with the internet, and look, and this isn't one of those IWC things, but wrestling fans are much more in the know than they ever were. And I'm not talking about smart marks who think they know everything. I'm just talking about a very simple basis of many people, and I would say probably about 99% of your audience knows for a fact that Jason Jordan is in no way, shape, or form related to Kurt Angle. If this was 15 years ago, maybe you could get away with a storyline like this. If this was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you definitely could get away with a story like this. Today, now, in 2017, you cannot get away with a story like this. And this goes to the tone deafness and complacency of the WWE, who thinks that time doesn't ever change. It does. And what fans want is something a little more meta, a little more real, maybe a little bit more edgy. And I'm not going out and saying that we should go back to the Attitude Era or PG. The PG rating is no good and is hampering what they want to do. That's not what I'm saying at all. But at a time when things like MMA, when something like McGregor and Mayweather, when things that are much more reality-based are what's drawing fans, to have something that's so fantastical, so unrealistic, so beyond over the top, does not help your product. Storylines are fine. Suspension of disbelief is fine. But when it's beyond the realm of ridiculousness, that is where you're going to have a problem. That is where I think things like this in the WWE don't help. And I think they have to get back to things that are simple. They have to get back to things that are cutting edge. They have to get back to things that are easy for people to invest in. Because something like this, it is very hard for you to find a wrestling fan, whether they're 6 or they're 60, who's going to look at this and say, oh yeah, this is definitely happening, and ride with the story. you're going to get much more obstacle than your acceptance. And that's one of the problems with sort of the WWE product as a whole now and moving forward. All right, let's get Tom Nix on the air right now. It's been too long. It's been too long. So now, without further ado, let's bring the Tom Nix portion of the show back in. Tom had a week off. I hope he took in some rays or something. We had a hectic schedule last week that we could not make it work. So we gave Tom the week off, and now refreshed, recharged, and whatever it is, Tom Nix back here on the Intelligent Wrestling Conversation podcast. Tom, how was your vacation?
It's been a while since I have talked about wrestling, and it's been a while since I have heard you.
That was nothing like Aaron Lewis at all, but I'll give you at least an A for effort.
That's all I need.
Yeah,
that's all I need.
Good enough. So Tom, we missed you.
Thank you. I missed you guys too.
And look, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure plenty of it will get set up for homework now and in the coming weeks, because we are in full-blown New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 mode. But the homework that we postponed, we gave everyone an extra week to tap in and rewatch Ishii versus Omega in the finals of the IWGP United States Championship Tournament from the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Special in USA. Whew, that was a mouthful.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the homework for everybody to watch. When we did talk about the G1 Special, we talked about this match a bit. We did not go into too much depth on it because you had assigned it for everyone. And so now we have a chance to talk a little bit more about that match. So, Tom, did you get a chance to rewatch this match now with commentary?
No, I'm still going off my memory. I'm too afraid to hear Jim Ross fuck up everyone's name.
Listen, it's okay. It's okay. I saw Jim Ross take to other podcasts, not this one because I didn't ask yet, but to other podcasts, and as well as to his social media and to his blog. First, he apologized a little bit, and he was also sort of taken aback by the lashing he was getting over the commentary between him and Josh Barnett. It wasn't that bad. Were there some missteps, some misspeaks, some misfires? Sure. But like I said, I would rather have Jim Ross at 72% than most people at 100. And look, I understand people have they hold on. They want Don Callis and Kevin Kelly to call everything, and they call plenty. But they
do.
I would still take Jim Ross and Josh Barnett over Kevin Kelly and Don Callis. That's my preference. That's me.
And you know what? You're not wrong, brother.
Yeah, I know I'm not. And that's not a knock on Kevin Kelly and Don Callis. They do a fine job. They bring something else to the table. It is what it is. But they're not Jim Ross. Sorry.
Sorry. I mean, yeah. But, regardless, let's dig into how good this freaking match is. Yes. Because, spoilers alert, it's freaking really goddamn good.
Yeah, so we did talk about this when we talked about the G1 Special and sort of the ascension of Ishii to this match, to be in the finals.
I'm so glad. I mean, when he first beat Naito, I was a little taken aback, to be perfectly honest, because I was like, oh my god, we're not Naito's not he's the most popular guy here besides Okada, and Omega. Why is he not going to the final? And then I found out why, and I'm very happy that Tomohiro got that spot.
Yeah, because look, out of all the other people who were in that tournament, Ishii moving on to the finals helped make him. He got the rub of everybody along the way that he defeated. And in being in the finals and in wrestling Kenny Omega, who is easily in the conversation, I would say, for best wrestler pound for pound on the planet right now.
I agree with that.
For him to hang with Kenny Omega and be in a competitive, back and forth, exciting match helped make him on the New Japan roster. Helped make him a main eventer. Helped make him a guy that now when he comes out to the ring, people are going to get excited about. And that's you're making a star.
No, they did. And honestly, like, his match against Zack Sabre Jr. Earlier in the night, like already elevated him. Like he was such the babyface in peril during that match to a certain extent. Like Zack Sabre was like working him over, and people were firmly behind Tomohiro. So like, and not just as like, hey, this guy is famous and we like him. Like if it was Naito, people will be cheering for Naito because he's famous and we like him. But they were cheering for Tomohiro because they found out in that moment that they liked him and how good he was. So like that carrying over into the main event, the fact that you still had half the audience chanting for Tomohiro by the end of that match shows how effectively they built a guy who has always been reliable, has always been good, has never really had bad matches ever, and is still a star over there into one of their biggest stars in America. Like when he comes back, he is going to be lauded by that audience.
I mean, let's face it, the guy is solid. He's a tank, okay? And he's a badass. Like he has the look of a bruiser. There's nothing really flashy about him. There's nothing really over the top, glamorous, glitzy, exciting about him. He's not, he's not a guy that like his name would be up on the marquee and he comes down and, he sells with his personality. What he sells on is the fact that he's going to get in the ring, he's going to help beat somebody's ass, and that's what you're going to watch. And, and to go into the finals against Kenny Omega, who I would argue is in the top 5, at least right now, in terms of sellers when it comes to professional wrestling. That also helps because Kenny Omega went in that ring and sold for Ishii, which made him look even better. And as we talk all the time about how the importance of selling, or at least I talk about the importance of selling all the time. When you have a guy like that who is selling the offense, who's selling the impact, who's selling the punishment, it makes his opponent look a million times better. And so as a result, Ishii in this match looked devastating. He looked powerful. He looked dangerous. He looked everything that you needed him to look to become emotionally invested in this match. And as a result, we got greatness.
Oh man, it was the selling is important because, also I guess you don't really have to remember, but like Ishii is like 5'6", and it would be really easy to have someone who's almost 6 feet tall, which a lot of the wrestlers over there are, at least the heavyweights, make him look like less of a badass. And like you said, Kenny made Tomohiro look like a lifelong ass kicker, and it did wonders for that entire match.
Yeah, but he's like 5'6", like all around though. Like he's like 5'6" tall.
He is a stout human being. Yes. That is correct.
He is built like a wrecking ball. Like he is
0 inches of that 5'6" belong to his neck.
Yeah, he is round all around. So look, there are a couple aspects of this match that, I mean, look, the match is solid. Like the match is great and it's solid. But a couple of things that I thought were outstanding here, that popped me real hard watching this. Number one is the table spot.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Brutal.
So
I didn't watch the match again, but I did watch that again from alternate angles that I didn't get to see because I saw it straight on. My perspective was watching Tomohiro hold on to the ropes like in first person view. So he went backward onto the table. I didn't really get to see that spot in person.
Okay, so let's just set this up. So the Young Bucks take this table out ringside. And as we've talked about, the New Japan tables are unique, I guess, for lack of a better word. They are small. They're also not really gimmick tables. They are
they're tables.
They are real tables. They are not like the lightest of plywood that people will easily go through. You're going to need some force and some speed to go through these tables, or as we've seen in other matches, you might get hurt. I'm trying to go through. So the Young Bucks take this table out and set it up ringside, which, as we all know, is code in professional wrestling for this bad boy will be in use at a climactic moment of this match. And that's eventually what we got. So with Ishii on the ring apron, once again, after a couple of teases of people getting thrown maybe through the table, Kenny Omega is set up behind him in a waistlock and is proceeding to try and German suplex him through the table, backwards through the table. So Ishii is holding on to the ropes to prevent this suplex from happening, and as Kenny is underhooking the arms into sort of a full Nelson grip, Ishii proceeds to hold on to the ropes with his teeth.
Oh God, it was the best. That moment popped that entire audience. Like watching him alternate hands and barely get a grip on it and all those things. And then at the last minute, reach forward with his face and grip the rope with his teeth. It popped us so hard, and it made him look like, okay, we all watch wrestling. We watch it a lot. So when something we haven't seen before, even little things, will pop us. It's the same reason why Kevin Owens' index finger on the rope at WrestleMania was genius. Well, actually, that was technically at Fastlane or whatever it was before. Yes. Then he did it again at WrestleMania. But why the tip of the forefinger was such a good thing, and then fucking Ishii with his teeth in the ropes. It's just those little touches that you don't see all the time. And man, that was a great moment. That made him look like the baddest of badasses.
And the fact is that he is able to maintain grip with his teeth to still not be put through the table with the suplex. That is the other part that works. It's not just that he grips the ropes with his teeth. It's that he grips the ropes with his teeth and manages to hold on at that point in time. That is still good. Now look, this is where we always get into suspension of disbelief. Okay? Is it possible that this guy is able to hold off a suplex by gripping the rope with his teeth? Probably not. But in the story of this match, you are willing to go on with the journey and have that mean something and matter and count. I had this conversation with a friend the other day over some pictures of beers where we were talking about sort of when wrestling winks, gives you the wink, and kind of tongue-in-cheek lets you know that it's in on it. Like, had this moment happened and it'd been like a wink, wink, oh, look, he's holding on with his teeth, you would have, flipped a table and called bullshit. But the fact that they played it straight, you believe it. And that's what made that moment so good. It was an interesting touch. It is totally unbelievable, which at that moment is what gets you exciting, because you're like, I can't believe this is happening. And it just draws you further into the match. Now look, he winds up beating a suplex anyway. And it was a nasty, dragon suplex back through this table, almost on his head.
Nasty.
And once again, through the awful New Japan Wrestling tables. But I just thought that was one particular moment of escalation in this match that just showed how easy it was to get invested in Ishii versus Omega.
Oh my God. That table spot. Oh, that match. Oh man. It's one of the best matches I've ever physically seen happen live. And like you said, they built up the emotions in that match so well because everyone loved Omega there. Duh. Like you said, he's potentially the best wrestler on the planet, easily one of the best sellers. And like the fact that they were able to get as much sympathy and as much emotion into Tomohiro's comeback as they did is just completely owed to the booking of that match. It's one of the best matches of the year, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, look, going into this match, knowing that this is for the inaugural IWGP United States Championship, you kind of get a feel that Kenny Omega is going to win the match. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
The Bullet Club is hot. Kenny Omega is hot. Once again, they got merch to push in Hot Topic. All the cards are clearly stacked. All the chips are stacked. The cards are stacked. Stacked boxes are stacked. Stack whatever you want in Kenny Omega's favor. Everything is stacked in his favor to come away the victor because business-wise, it makes sense for New Japan Pro Wrestling, especially as they keep trying to expand their reach into the United States, which right now is probably at its height. So knowing that that's kind of the destination, the journey of this match is able to sort of wipe that out of your mind for about a half an hour. And that's what we talk about all the time is, sometimes the journey is better than the destination. It doesn't matter who's going to win. It doesn't matter if you know who's going to win or you think you know who's going to win. Or as we always see, the lazy critique of it's predictable. That doesn't matter.
Predictability.
If along the way you are able to forget about that and enjoy the drama of the match, that's enough. Because, for example, when Ishii gets Kenny Omega up on his shoulders and hits the one-winged angel.
Oh my God.
For a second, or at least for 3 seconds, you believe he may win this thing. He may capture this title. Kenny Omega may lose this match. And when he kicks out, what's the first thing everybody does? Oh! Because that's what the moment is meant to do. And that's what makes a match like this great.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like there is anyone complaining that Daniel Bryan won the titles in WrestleMania 30 after a year-long build to him getting that match and winning titles? I hope. It's predictable, but it doesn't matter. That's the story. That's the story they were telling. Same with this, but they did a good job with the making you believe that it might not actually happen. Because like you said, of course Kenny Omega should have won this tournament. He speaks English. He speaks it really well. He's extremely popular over here. Extremely popular over here. All of his shirts. The Young Bucks just said today that basically every single Hot Topic in the country is sold out of all their merch already. It's been out for 2 weeks, and they're all gone.
Yeah, they're all gone. Everything is gone.
He is extraordinarily popular. It makes complete sense why you would make him the champion of the country you want to take over when he has already taken it over. But in that moment, we weren't sure they were going to do that. And that makes all the difference.
Yeah, it does. And look, you have those nasty Kenny Omega heat trigger knees towards the end.
They're the grossest knees in the business. They look like they hurt so bad.
They are so cringeworthy every time they happen, which is what they're meant to do. They should look absolutely devastating, and they are.
Take notes, Seth Rollins.
Yeah. That's how you do nasty knees. And not hurt people. But look, the way this match came together, the story that it tells, the build throughout the match, the competitiveness of Ishii, not only throughout the tournament to get him to this point, but also in this match. Kenny Omega selling like crazy to make him look like $1 million. The back and forth towards the end, the false finishes, the trading of finishing maneuvers. It's outstanding. And And it's strange because we continue to bring up more New Japan Pro Wrestling matches. They all seem to be in this upper tier of sort of match of the year contenders when we get there. I would probably give this one about 37,000 stars. That's how good it is. Going to my Meltzer scale. And it's just really good. So, and especially given the way that night one was sort of perfectly booked from start to finish. Night two, I think, paled in comparison, but I think this was the perfect match to sort of end the weekend, to sort of end this tournament, and sort of end the New Japan Pro Wrestling experiment in the United States, at least for 2017. I think this is a great place to build upon, and you made a star in Japan. You continue to make a star now in the United States, and everyone won. Like there was nothing bad from this match that you could say, well, I wish they would have really done this differently, or I'm sure we can nitpick if we really like closely wanted to be like bastards about it. But this was phenomenal. And I hope everybody went back and watched it or watched it the first time. And like we say all the time, more New Japan, please.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully New Japan takes really they only need to take three things away from their experiment to make next time a success, which is number one, book a bigger building. Number two, have more people working your merch stand. And number three, leave Billy Gunn in Japan.
I was just about to jump in with that being number four. Had you forgotten it? And that doesn't mean book like somebody else from DX. Like I don't want to see Sean Waltman like on there. No. Like just find a younger guy who can work, or just stick anybody else Japanese. And I don't even care if he's the merch guy. Like, I'd take the Japanese merch guy over Billy Gunn. Not Billy Gunn. All right. So Tom, a successful homework assignment, I think, on all accounts and all fronts here. So what do you have lined up for us next week?
Well, surprise, surprise, it's another New Japan Pro Wrestling match because I don't know if you know this, but the G1 just started on Monday. And I think round 2 is tonight, if I remember correctly. I think tonight. Yeah, it starts tonight. Tonight being Thursday night. I'm not sure when this – Wednesday night. I'm not sure when this will go out, probably Thursday. So by at that point, they will have already been online. But I'm going to recommend – I am going to demand that everyone watch the main event of the first round, the very first night of the G1 27 Climax, which is Tetsuya Naito versus the Golden Star Kota Ibushi. It is I don't want to say by far, but it is definitely match of the night. They absolutely brutalize each other in this match,
which I love.
Oh my God. It's if you've ever wanted to see a man throw another man like a lawn dart into a turnbuckle, you're going to see that. If you ever wanted to see a pile driver off the top rope, you're going to see that. It's brutal, but it's absolutely incredible how much they top each other and how much energy they have in this match. Definitely watch it if you have time. I also recommend watching Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tanahashi, which is the match before it. It is also an excellent wrestling match because Zack Sabre Jr. is really good at making people tap, and Tanahashi is really good at selling. So it's also a good match. But to me, the clear winner is Kota versus Naito. Please watch that match. We will discuss it in detail next week. But it's the bar has already been set very, very high for the very first night of the G1. Okay, so we have Naito and Ibushi, and we have Tanahashi and Zack Sabre Jr. I have heard that the final 3 matches of night 1 were outstanding. What is the match before Zack Sabre? I can't remember what it is. I know it was good, but I can't remember who fought who. I guess we can go look it up real fast.
From what I was told, I'm going to give a shout out to my main man Steve, who told me the final 3 matches of night 1 of the G1 were outstanding, very good matches. Unfortunately, none of them involved Juice Robinson at this point.
Oh, yeah. It was Hiroki Goto versus Tomohiro Ishii. Yes, it was a very, very good match.
See, so there we go. So look, if you're going to go and watch night 1 of the G1, just watch the last 3 matches. We're only going to talk about one. We're going to talk about Ibushi and Naito next week. But from what has been relayed to me, the 3 singles matches that sort of ramped up to the end of the night, all outstanding matches. So
they are, because you really honestly you really have no clue what's going to happen when you don't have any strong idea of oh, this person's definitely going to win or this person's definitely going to do whatever. These G1 matches are great, and much like every other tournament in Japan, the bookers fucking hate you. And if you think you know what's going to happen, bro, you don't know what's going to happen.
So there's your homework for next week. More New Japan. Look, this is a blessing for you. For everybody who has been sort of had a New Japan blind spot, and that includes myself. Okay, that includes myself. I have watched more New Japan Pro Wrestling since the relaunch of this podcast than I can ever recall watching New Japan Pro Wrestling in the past. And you know what? I'm better for it because when it comes to wrestling right now, I love my New Japan Pro Wrestling. I want more of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I can't get enough New Japan Pro Wrestling. And when it comes to watching other things, it pales in comparison. I have found myself lobbying other people to watch more New Japan Pro Wrestling who typically don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I'm a convert here. I'm looking to convert others. Tom is along on this mission with me. And
New Japan's the best. It's the best, y'all. It really is the best.
And go ahead. I don't want to step on.
If you start watching it with any regularity, especially now when you've got great matches happening basically 3 times a week, I hate to say it, but you will watch all of the wrestling and be like, that's good. It's not as good as New Japan, but
no.
You will start to almost resent other wrestling companies for not having their shit together as much as these guys.
I do. I watched. I'm gonna go on the record right here. So we talked about the last WWE pay-per-view last week when you weren't here, which is at this point I don't even remember what the name. Great Balls of Fire, how could I forget Great Balls of Fire? And what I found myself really being critical about over that pay-per-view was that it did not have Okada on it. Now, it was never going to have Okada on it, but just the fact that he wasn't on it made me disappointed. So, because now the bar has been set. So, look, I understand that WWE has the storylines and some better production value and whatnot. But right now, New Japan is absolutely killing it. Their talent is top-notch. Their matches are top-notch. When we sort of heard at the beginning of the year sort of rumblings in the WWE about how they wanted to try and have a match that even came close to matching Omega Okada 1 at WrestleMania, and then, of course, we didn't get it. But the fact...
That did not happen.
Yeah, but the fact that even they are taking notice and are like, how do we get to do that? That should speak volumes about what New Japan is doing right now. And as we said, this is sort of the height of New Japan ever. This is the peak of where they've ever been at this point in time. And they've been at high points differently, but globally, they've never been where they're at right now. Before.
New Japan has honestly been at this quality for the last 5 years, easily, but they have not gotten to where they're at, and that alone, their global popularity right now, New Japan Pro World definitely does help, but that should speak to the power of the Bucks and Omega that they are this popular. That, like, they're selling out shirts everywhere they go.
Yes.
And, like, they're filling halls in California when they've never been to the States before with, like, this is insane, and I can almost guarantee you it's the Elite's doing.
Partially. I would say partially. Let's not sell Okada short, even with his garbage shirts.
No, let's not sell Okada short.
Even with his garbage shirts. Because he's still making up half of those fantastic matches most of the time. So, but look, as we've talked about, it started with Styles and Nakamura, and now it's moving up with the Young Bucks and Omega and Okada, and you have tremendous talent over there right now. And look, and let's not forget, Juice Robinson's going to carry that torch forward even further.
Juice Robinson, IWGP champion. You heard it here first.
I can't wait for it to happen. I'm gonna mark out on this show like you wouldn't believe. It's going to be like one of those Raw celebrations. But look, this is a great time to dive into New Japan, to watch more New Japan. If you're uneasy about it, or it's just new to you, and you're sort of afraid to take a dive into the unfamiliar, it's going to be okay. Me and Tom will hold your hand, and we'll guide you into the water. We'll take you into the shallow end first, and it'll be okay. We will not let you drown in Japan. You will be okay. I promise you. So hop on board with all that. Tom, I know that there's a WrestleCircus show this weekend. Are you going to be there in the front row as usual?
As usual, I will be there, and this show is looking like a badass. I'm very excited for it.
What is the over-under on the time?
Okay. So, provided that all talent gets there on time, I would say this show should go. They have been making a concerted effort to be done under 4 hours every single time, with the exception of last time, which was out of their control.
It was like 5.5. It was
extremely long.
It was brutal.
But they've been trying to keep it about 4 hours. So I imagine starts at 6. May end at 10, might go to 10:30, depending. But, like, there's only one multi-man match in this one that I remember, the scramble match. I think this will be a 4-hour show, but it's going to be top to bottom really, really damn good. And Space Monkey's back.
Well, oh, God, man. See, now I have to watch it. Now I have to at least watch some of it.
It's free on Twitch. Why would you not watch it anyway?
It is free on Twitch. That is true. I have to get my refund from Now Twitch just so that I paid so I could watch Roppongi Vice and Gorillas of Destiny a few weeks ago. Because now WrestleCircus, their VOD is all on Twitch. There is no VOD on WrestleCircus.com. It is all on Twitch. So if you want to watch any of that on Twitch, by all means, there it is. But yes, that is Saturday. That is 6? It's 6 Central, correct?
6 Central is when the bell time starts. There will also be, I believe, 2 pre-show matches like there normally are, showcasing local talent. But the actual card will start at 6 p.m. Central Time. Okay,
so 7 on the East Coast, and then look, if it goes beyond midnight, I give everyone permission to never watch WrestleCircus again.
If it goes over 5 hours, I might not watch WrestleCircus ever again.
It'll be great for you to get a nap in the front row. You might get like Leo Rush to sit in your lap. Okay, so we got WrestleCircus. That is on Saturday. Tom, do you have any thoughts on Battleground on Sunday?
No. Honestly, I am the thing I am most excited about.
It can't be the Punjabi prison.
It's not.
Okay.
I am most excited to see who's been messing with the fashion police. Apparently, we're getting the answer on Battleground. They're going to have a match against the people that have been wrecking their office. And I could have sworn it was American Alpha turning heel because they hadn't been used. But then all of a sudden, Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle's interracial illegitimate son. So that can't happen anymore. So I really don't know who they're going to bring out as their opponent, and I'm genuinely interested to see who it is.
I don't know that I care at this point.
If they've already said it's not the Ascension. The Ascension had a backstage segment saying, no, it's not us. We just wanted a match, so get off our case. It can't be the Usos. I mean, I guess it could be the Usos, but that seems boring. But then again, it's WWE, so it could be the Usos. Well, no, because they got a match against the New Day. I just don't know who it's going to be. I just really don't know. So I'm interested to see what that happens. But that's it. That is the only interest I have in Battleground. I don't care about the title match. I don't care about Shinsuke versus Baron, even though I like them both. I don't care about the 5-way women's match that much. I just don't care about Battleground at all.
Yeah. Look, if it's going to be, if I'm going to make two predictions here on who it could be that is messing with the Fashion Police, which I hope is now officially their name moving forward, and we've gotten rid of Breezango. My first pick for who it could possibly be is Shane McMahon's helicopter pilot. That guy's a badass. So clearly, that guy can do whatever he wants. And if it's not him, my fingers crossed as my backup choice to help improve Battleground overall is clearly Okada. So if it's not one of those two, I'm just gonna inherently be left out, feel let down. So
that's amazing.
It is what it is. All right, Tom Nix, he gave you your homework. G1 Night 1, Naito versus Ibushi. So make sure you check that out. And if you want some extra credit or some bonus, make sure you watch the other two singles competition matches that also help round out the Night 1 of the G1. Tom, make sure you let everybody know where it is that they can find you on the Twitter. It's time for your jingle.
Before I do that, can I pitch a segment to you live on air? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So because we are talking about getting people to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling and being the zealots, as it were, for this amazing promotion, I would like a, maybe not weekly, maybe monthly or bi-weekly, I would like a update on how your son is coming along watching New Japan Pro Wrestling and what he's into and who he likes.
You know, that sounds amazing, and I think we can absolutely make that happen. Right now,
you can even bring him on the podcast if you want.
I absolutely can. Right now, it's going to be in a little bit of transition because I am in the middle of some relocation nightmare, and a lot of moving and whatnot. But yes, I think once we get settled, to bring an 8-year-old onto the podcast, which we will now have to heavily censor, to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, or sort of progress what he is getting out of New Japan Pro Wrestling as a newcomer to it. I think that's an interesting idea, and I'm all for it. So and look, and then we can also sort of see how the 8-year-old mind compares and contrasts the WWE with New Japan.
Yeah, I mean. Just because I thought of it doesn't mean it's a good idea, but I think it's a good idea.
Sold! Let's do it. All right, Tom, give us your jingle.
You can find me online on twitter.com at TheTomNix. That's TheTomNix. That's me.
See, we missed you so much. And look, and hey, I know it's been a rough week for you, Tom. I know that you had a loss in the family. So I want to extend my condolences and my sympathies to you and the rest of the Knicks clan for that.
We very much appreciate it. It was not a good week, but like I said, luckily we. But by the way, we're talking about my grandfather passing away. We knew for a couple months it was happening, so we've had time as a family to prepare. But I always appreciate the well wishing because he was a great dude.
Well, I'm glad we could get your mind off it a little bit talking wrestling, which is always near and dear to your heart. So,
yes, it is.
So that is that's what I can do on my behalf to help you through the tough time. So
I appreciate it, Billy.
Well, thank you very much, and Godspeed to the whole Knicks family on this time. And look, there's a lot to make sure that you follow with this particular show. You got Tom's jingle. You got his Twitter handle. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and my Twitter handle. I don't have a clever song. I just got to give it to you straight. That's at Infamous Kid, K-I-D-D, Infamous Kid, K-I-D-D. So make sure you follow me there. Also, make sure you follow us at the IWC Show. It's the official Twitter handle of Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. So make sure you follow us there for any sort of wrestling updates that may happen. And also, of course, notifications when the shows go up. And look, as far as this podcast is concerned, I don't know how you got to this particular episode, but for any future episodes, make sure you do what's most convenient for you. You can find this podcast everywhere that you can find podcasts. So iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Blueberry, SoundCloud, TuneIn, you name it, we're there. All we do is ask that you subscribe to the show. This way they are hand-delivered to your devices so you never miss an episode. Also, rate the show. Give us a 5-star rating for our 5-star effort. And comment on the show. Let other people know why you think the show is awesome. You let us know why you think the show is awesome, so then more people will listen to this awesome podcast. So subscribe, rate, and comment. That's all it is that we ask you to do. You got your homework assignment for next week. We will be back then, of course, to talk more wrestling, probably more New Japan, and a little bit of everything in between, including some review and analysis of Battleground, the WWE show this weekend. So look, 4-time Knicks, I've been your host, Billy Donnelly. This has been Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. Have yourself a pleasant, immediate future. We're out for now, guys. Peace. Intelligent Wrestling Conversation has been a podcast presentation of This Is Infamous.